Well, we had an opportunity yesterday in between their lifting sessions. That's all we did yesterday was lift weights. We didn't practice. We're practicing this morning right after these interviews. I did have a chance to talk to them for about 5 minutes yesterday just to kind of brief them on what the plan would be for today and our departure to Omaha. I do, as part of practice today, I will meet with them and share a number of things with them about what they can expect in Omaha, the difference that what happens in Omaha in the College World Series and everything around it from the regular season. Obviously, this year is significantly different in that, most of the year we only had 500 people in the stands, and now there's going to be over 20,000, and it's just a different event, something like they've never experienced before. And, Bennett, most importantly, I want them to enjoy this. I've been talking to the team for a couple of weeks now that the experiences that they get to do in the NCAA regional, super regional, and now Omaha is earned. They're earned experiences, and I want them to enjoy it with a smile on their face. And you just don't have these opportunities very often as a player, and I want them to experience it all and enjoy it, and we will. That said, it's really, really important in Omaha. When you're between the white lines, you focus on what your job is. And so we'll practice out there tomorrow. We'll lift weights out there tomorrow. We'll have a very, very detailed plan that will be shared with them of what needs to be done to win. The goal is not accomplished. Everybody talks about getting to Omaha in every college baseball program, and that's a focus and goal in every team. But our focus is to get to Omaha to win, right? And so, we'll talk a lot about what goes into that and the little bit of difference between doing it out there and doing it during the regular season and in the NCAA tournament.
Brian, in the NCAA regional and super regional rounds, you're playing every day. When you get to Omaha, the games are spaced out. Sometimes you have several days off if you're doing well in the winner's bracket. Obviously, it's the same for every team out there, but does that present any challenges as a coaching staff at all?
A little bit, Jeff. That's a little bit of what I talk about is is the focus, right? Because they're so used to playing 3 days in a row, right? Or, in some situations more than that. And so this is a different deal. You really don't play 3 days in a row until you get to the championship series. So you play a day off, and then depending on what happens from then, you might get 2 days off before you play it again if you're 2-0. So, there's certainly distractions that can happen. I choose to think of them as good distractions. You're in Omaha, the city loves you, the city wraps their arms around you. We're going to get the kids out and they're going to experience everything that the College World Series has to offer, but there will be certainly focused work every day, whether it be on the field or video work and preparation for the next day, whatever it might be. But certainly the separation in games has a lot to do with pitching. Right. Typically what I have done is named a game one starter, which I'm not going to name that today, but name a game one starter. And then, in the back of my mind, I have a game two starter, and then everybody else is available for game one. Right. So those guys that have started game three during the year or, in the regional, super regional, they're on the docket for Sunday, because if you win Sunday and then you win Tuesday, you don't play again for two more days. So, the pitching, handling the pitching is totally different. And it's a lot of fun to navigate that and figure that out to give your team the best chance to win.
We'll go David Dillman and then Preston.
There are guys on this year's team who wanted to come and play at UVA after seeing senior teams in like 2014 and
right.
2015 out in Omaha. From that perspective, just maybe bigger picture, what significance comes from getting this program back to this national platform, this this stage?
Well, Damon, it's vital. It's vital to the success of our program, the future success. First, to answer your question, these guys, they all came here. The veteran guys, as I had said after we won the Super Regional, the veteran guys, they committed here in and around shortly after we won a national championship, because a lot of these kids are committing when they're freshmen in high school. Some of them freshmen, sophomores in high school. So, they came here with a belief and an expectation that going to Omaha was a reality, that it could happen. So that's pretty cool. That's important. We went on a pretty good string of years there from 9 through 15, where every guy that came in the program had a chance to play in Omaha. And that's pretty cool. And so, so I'm happy for them that they finally get to realize that dream. But moving forward in the future of the program, it continues to send that message. Yeah, has it been a break of 5 seasons that we haven't been there? Yeah, sure. But it continues to send the message out there in recruiting that that can happen here. Omaha can happen here in a Virginia Cavalier uniform. We just so happened to have 18 recruits on grounds yesterday. What a day! To have 18 recruits here visiting us, coming off the Super Regional win, heading to Omaha, and so that was pretty cool. Pretty cool day yesterday.
Looking at a guy in Nick Kent, who there have been so many big games, and in that game 3, a lot of guys had performances, and maybe his got a little bit lost there. But what have you just seen from him this season? He started at the top of the order and kind of moved down. What have you seen from him this year?
Well, hey, listen, I first and foremost, I love Nick Kent. I remember Nick Kent was just a young player, and watched him grow up in this town. So really proud of Nick. It's pretty cool when you have a local player that's accomplished what he has accomplished. So Nick Kent was through a local youth baseball development program called H3 Baseball. Nick Kent was a mentor, what they call a baseball buddy for my son Dylan. I think the world of Nick Kent. He has grown up in this program. He has gotten better in this program. Now, it being his 3rd year, I'm just proud of, his continued development. The plays he's made at shortstop. Wow. I mean, the plays in Game 3 of the Super Regional were spectacular. He's been steady Eddie, consistent guy there in the middle of our infield for 3 years. The huge home run he hit in Game 3, right? Their starter was stuffing it on us pretty good, and we weren't having much luck. And, he put a great swing on a ball, and got the game to 2-1, and has been a nice leader in our program. I'm just happy for him. The local guy that is delivering for the Virginia Cavaliers. Pretty cool experience for him.
We'll go with David Teal and then Jerry.
Brian, you reminded us the other day when you were talking about Steve about college baseball's scholarship structure and the average grant being about 40%. Are you looking forward to presumably next season when your athletes will be able to monetize their names, images, and likenesses?
Well, listen, this is something that the athletes have been wanting and fighting for a little while now. And, some of them, will have the ability to do some things. I'm not sure, David, how impactful it'll be. We'll see. We just don't know, what it truly looks like now. These kids, they put everything into this, the time commitment. Now, it's what they love, and they choose to do it, right? And I personally don't think there's anything wrong with them having a little skin in the game and paying a little something to do what they love and to get their college education. The normal students have to do that, right? We've all had to pay off student loans before and things like that. So, But that said, they work hard and they make significant sacrifices for what they do. So, I'm excited that they are going to have an opportunity potentially to do some things, to create some opportunity for themselves. I just hope they're not disappointed by what that might end out leading to. So we're just going into these uncharted waters that have no idea what's really going to come out of it. And so we'll see, but it's nice that they at least have the opportunity now to try to do something with it.
Hey, Brian, what impresses you about Tennessee, and what is your biggest concern about Tennessee?
Well, first, they're really hot. They're playing great baseball. They have all year. They're a very, very offensive club. I think they probably have 100 home runs. I have watched them play enough on television and then over the last 24 hours. They've got power bats. They got really, really good athletes. And they have power arms. They're no different than any other team in that league that you're going to see, other than they've had a really, really special year. To sweep through the NCAA regional, to go 2-0 in a super regional, that means you're playing really hot baseball and you're very, very talented. But Jerry, that's what every team is like this time of the year. Everybody's great, and you win the first game, then you get to bite off Texas or Mississippi State, right? It's every game. So, but they're good. They're well coached. They are very, very aggressive, and so we're going to have to play great baseball and pitch a great baseball game to have a chance to win.
Caroline, and then Emily.
Brian, sorry if there's some extra noise.
That's okay.
You've been here before, but do you have any resources in the athletic department with fellow coaches that you chat with or get opinions on or run ideas off of?
Not so much. Not in this moment, really. No, but throughout the year, throughout my career, there's been incredible resources here. It's ongoing. It's a constant share. We have this group text message with all of our head coaches that we're all always passing information along to each other, whether it be things for recruiting or to help your teams be successful, resources, here in the community, or different things to help drive us all to be the best that we can be. There's a ton of encouragement, right? But those things have happened over the years. I mean, I remember 18 years ago, sitting in Dom Starja's office and the many questions that I had for him, just a championship winning coach, about not only coaching here in Virginia, but also what it takes to build a championship program, and living next to our former tennis coach Brian Boland, and all the conversations him and I had about preparing teams for championship time and things like that, to be able to witness what Tony Bennett has did and the way he has done it, and his leadership and his calm, poised demeanor. I've learned a ton from him, and I tell you, Bronco Mendenhall is one of the great leader organization guys out there, and so it's a constant share. It's ongoing. But in this case, going back to Omaha, I feel being a player in the event 30 years ago, and then having been there as an assistant coach, and and then we here at Virginia, the learns over the years. You're constantly learning for other people, because every journey and every team's different. But I feel confident in the plan that we have to prepare these guys to be ready to roll.
Hey, Coach. So you guys kind of had that season where it was a little rocky, but you brought it back those last 10 games and to get where you are now.
Yeah.
Can you kind of talk about the resilience that your team has shown throughout the whole tournament and leading up to Omaha?
Yeah. Where do I start and where do I end with that word? It's a word I've used a lot to describe this team, not only over the last 2 months, but really specifically over the last 2 weeks. What a great quality to have as a person, first and foremost, is to be resilient. And certainly for a team, I think it's the best word to describe this team right now. And again, what a great lesson for them to learn in preparation for life, because to be successful in this life, they need to be resilient and be able to bounce back. And it speaks to who they are, the character of them. It speaks to the decision they made to stand up 2 months ago and run to it rather than run away from it. We've talked a lot about that concept within our organization over the last 2 months, that, when things get tough, you have a choice. You have a lot of people choose to hide. A lot of people choose to hide under the desk or hide in the locker or run away from it. And I challenge them to make a decision that I hope they chose to be people that run to the problem. They did, and we're fortunate that they made that decision individually and collectively as a group, that they needed to stand up and be resilient and bounce back. And I mean, what they have done, I don't know the history. I don't know how many college baseball teams in the NCAA tournament has faced elimination 6 times and bounced back. I'm sure it's happened many times before, in the regionals and super regionals, but I'm just... What I have witnessed over the last 2 weeks is, it's helped me. I'm learning from them every day, and it's pretty remarkable. And what a word to describe this team.
We'll go with Greg, and then back to the top, Bennett.
Coach, you just talked about the resilience of your team,
Mm-hmm.
and then earlier you talked about playing in those elimination games, and you talked about how you kind of handle the process from the winners bracket. What have you done, or how have you approached these elimination games? And does it, again, the space between games in Omaha, does that kind of change the way you might approach an elimination game as well?
Haven't thought about it enough yet, Greg. No, I mean we've been in plenty of elimination games in Omaha as well, so we have that experience a little bit. The nice part about having some separation is you do have time to digest it, right, and move on. When you do have a day in between, if that happens, sometimes you don't have that luxury in Omaha. But I'll tell you what, one of the great things about the game of baseball is there's a lot of defeat. You lose a lot in the game, but is that you get right back out there the next day. So one of the things I do like is, you lose a tough ball game. Okay, we process it, we're disappointed, but we delete it before we go to bed, and you wake up the next day and bam, you get a chance to play another ball game. So certainly there will be things that, I hope that doesn't happen, right? I don't enjoy being in that situation. I told our guys, geez, can we just score some runs earlier in the game, right? Can we just maybe not quite make it as hard on us? But they seem to continue to put me through this torture. But it's we'll see. We'll if that happens and we fall down in the game, I have 100% confidence they'll bounce back, and we'll have a plan together to get them to regroup.
Talked about this a little bit the other day, but the relationship with Drew Dickinson,
Mm-hmm.
how has that kind of grown over time the last 2 years in terms of the trust you two have in each other, working with each other?
It's great. It's up to the point to where I feel like it's a veteran relationship. It's a even though we've only been together, probably 20 months. We've spent a lot of time together. We've learned a lot about each other. and we've developed a relationship that we can, tell each other what's on our mind and our heart, and each share our gut feelings about whether it be in the game or from game to game, and ultimately come to a great decision that's in the best interest of the team. Drew Dickinson's really good. He's very, very talented. He's talented on the field, developing guys, but he's talented and very, very thoughtful off the field as well. So he's doing a fantastic job, and feel terrific about where those guys are at and where our pitching is going to be at in the future. I do want to say this, Bennett. These arms that are pitching for us, Carl Kuhn recruited. They don't take anything away from Drew Dickinson. He's developed them and did a terrific job. But, I sent a text to my friend the other day, Carl, and just to thank him for, for bringing these guys here and help them develop them. And, he passed the baton to Drew, and Drew has taken the baton and run with it and run through that finish line with these guys and have just made a tremendous impact on them. Carl started that impact and did a terrific job by bringing them here and starting the development, and Coach Drew has, taken them to the next step. And I'm forever grateful to Carl Kuhn for the work he did in this program and helped lay the foundation for these pitchers to have the success that they're having.
David and then Preston.
You had mentioned this a little bit before when you were talking about Nick Kent, but just the way you've played defensively in this postseason, is that maybe kind of an unsung reason why you've had the success you've had and gotten back to this point?
Yeah, for sure. We talked about it that at championship time, you got to be great on the mound. You got to be opportunistic offensively, because you're facing elite arms, that pitching staffs that are just as good as yours. So there would be games that you'll knock the doors down and score a bunch of runs. That's such a rarity this time of the year. But you gotta be elite on the mound. But tied to that is you better be really, really good defensively. You got to make the steady play, the consistent play, but then you need the play Chris Newell made. You need the play that Nick Kent makes to his glove side up the middle and throws the guy out in the 8th inning, right? Because you don't make one of those plays that flips and you don't win the game. And so that's what I talk a lot about at championship time. You got to be consistent in every facet of the game, but you got to be pretty spectacular at times too. And if you don't be spectacular and have individual players rise up and then have a little bit of good fortune, you're home. It's over, right? And everybody's too good. Every team, all 8 teams that are traveling to Omaha today, every one of them can win this thing, right? And typically the prognosticators, what the prognosticators say is the team that's going to win it, they're the most talented. Typically they don't. It's somebody else, right? And so it's wide open. It's that team that is consistent and has a couple of guys rise up in huge moments and has a couple of things go their way. But it's defense. You can't do it without it.
You mentioned it on Monday, but you've been to this stage several times. These players, they haven't. So this is really about them, and this one's for them. How special has it been just to watch them, after some of these big wins with their families and kind of knowing that they get to continue that now in Omaha?
Sorry, I'm just I'm embarrassed, but we have 5 recruits on campus, and I'm just texting Coach Kirby to tell him I'm running behind. No problem. Sorry. Well, I'll say this. It goes back to these kids, the opportunity that they've earned, but the parents and the families, right? The investment that they have made in these young men. I'm not talking about an investment to get their education. I'm talking about a time, love investment that they have made over the years of taking their kids from Philadelphia, Delaware, New York, wherever it is, multiple times to Georgia to play in tournaments, to Hoover, Alabama, to Florida all summer, for them to play travel ball and for them to have this experience to develop their skills, to ultimately land at a place like Virginia, then ultimately to have success, to then to be able to go to Omaha. Their successes is the reward of what they've done and the love that they've shown for their children. To see, I can't name them all, but, to see, the Geloffs and the experience that Adam and Kelly Geloff are having, seeing their two sons play on the corner of an infield in college baseball, that they have a chance to go to Omaha. It's just, it's incredible. As a father of children, what an incredible experience. To see Mrs. Ortiz fly in from New Jersey, to see her son pitch in the regional final, and the tears of joy on their faces when they see their children accomplish greatness, and right on down the line, so many of them. I after the ground rules in Game 3, I walk off and look up in the stands to see Mr. Savino, that, helped his son make a decision and a commitment to enroll in the University of Virginia early, and the chance and the risk that they took of doing that, and the commitment that they showed in us as coaches and this university, that they entrusted their kids to our care, is just awesome. This is their experience, right? That's why I talk about them, the players and their families, and I'm just so happy for them to be able to go to Omaha and for them to be experienced. I grew up on the thing. I can't tell you how many times I've been in those stadiums for games, right? And I'm fired up to be in it again on Sunday. But for those kids and those families, this is their first time. And they're going to reflect back on this 30 years down the road with their teammates and their families about what a great experience they had in Omaha, Nebraska. And I'm just so happy for them, the opportunity that they have as a family.
I want to get Coach to practice, but we'll take one more. I want to get everybody in here. Stu, if you want to have a question.
Talk about Nate Savino. You go back to Game 3 at Virginia Tech, a game that you guys absolutely had to have, and he really came of age. Can you talk about his maturation this year as still really a young pitcher? He
is still a young pitcher, and he's learning. There's development that's happening there. His body's developing, right? And it's a constant development. There's the physical part of it, right? That's with every player, but then there's the experience part of it, right? And I had so much confidence in giving him the ball in that crucial game to start that game out for us, because when we've given him the ball this year to start big key games for us, he's delivered. And I knew that he would be ready to deliver for this team. And listen, we haven't seen the best of Nate Savino. This kid did something very, very hard to do. Came in the middle of the year, got thrown into the fire. Season got shut down, right? And then this is really like his freshman year. And so I'm fired up for him. I think, he's going to keep getting better and better. He's going to have some great experiences whenever our season's over this summer. And, he's going to come back next year and really be an elite college pitcher in baseball. But, for him to toe that mound in that super regional championship game, and for him, hey, listen, I know he gave up a 2-run home run, right? I know we had to take him out of the game, but he kept us in the game against an elite offense and gave us a chance. And I've got all the confidence in the world in him right now and in the future. Fitz, I can do like 10 more minutes.
Okay, cool. David Teal and then Jerry.
Brian, could you imagine preparing for Dallas Baptist you could get through a 3-team super without having to use shots.
Yeah.
And how does that maybe affect his workload in Omaha?
Well, I think we're in a great spot, David. We were able to get through it without Blake Bales, who, you look at our stat sheet, he's at the top of it from the pitching. I think somebody told me he's on the list for the stopper of the year. Blake Bales is in the final 10 or something like that. That's incredible. And we didn't have that guy at our disposal. In the regional, we had him for 1 out, you know. So we're seeing what's developing with him. Not sure when he's going to be available. I've got confidence in Shock. You know, pretty impressive that we were able to win it without him, what he's delivered for this team this year. Hey, listen, the guy on Tuesday in the regional final, he threw 73 pitches. I think the last time he threw 73 pitches, he was probably 17 years old. And I think he's 24 now. So, you know, he's used to 1 and 2 inning stints, right? And so, you know, I needed to give him some time. I'm hopeful that he'll be ready to roll on Sunday. You know, we'll see, but you know, he just wasn't available for us in the super regional. But I think this time will serve him well. You know, he had a shutdown phase a little bit earlier, about a month ago or so, 5 or 6 weeks ago, where there was a period of time that he didn't pitch. And he came back really hot and pitching great baseball. So I think he'll be. I'm hoping that we'll have him at our disposal this weekend.
Ryan, I'm sure you got tons of special congratulatory messages from former players and lots of other people. Was your conversation with Paul Maneri special, considering this is it for him and how close you guys have been for so many years?
Yeah. Right after the press conference in South Carolina, you know, I called, other than my family, my parents, I called 2 people. I called Paul Maneri and Jim Hendry. Jim Hendry was my college coach. I'm looking forward to seeing Jim on Friday in Omaha. Just to, you know, I love those guys. They mean the world to me. Have made and continue to make a huge impact on my life. But, you know, my conversation with Paul was great. He was so proud of what we accomplished. And, you know, him and I have been talking a lot lately since he made this decision. And the guy's a winner. The guy won over 1,500 games, just treated people right, did it the first-class right way. You know, will continue to be a mentor for me. Any big decisions that I make in my career are all channeled through Paul Maneri, and that's the kind of impact he made in 9 years of my life. I spent in the office next to him, and you know, I love him. I'm so proud of him, of what he accomplished in his career, but most importantly, the impact that he made on young people. He taught me very, very early in my coaching days that, you know, the wins are great, championships are great, you know, all those kind of things, they're fun, but most importantly, it's the impact that you make on young men's lives. And, you know, that proved to be true when you know, this thing, you know, after you accomplish what we did, and the mass amount of congratulations and pride that the former Cavaliers have and what's being accomplished. The fact that, you know, Mark Reynolds, Brandon Klein, you know, Aaron Stahl, different players, Will Campbell, different people decided to be in Columbia and to give those guys hugs, you know, whether it be after the winning the regional, after the super regional. They're just incredibly proud of, you know, their time here, but what the program does. And then to see Ernie Clement get his first major league hit last night was just awesome. And, you know, texting with his dad last night, and, you know, how excited we are, you know, for their family and Ernie's opportunity. So, Jerry, you know, that you know, that's what it's all about. You know, they don't have a baseball program at the University of Virginia for Brian O'Connor or any other coach to have a job, right? I can be replaced pretty quickly. They have a baseball program at the University of Virginia for our men to have a opportunity to play an elite level and get an elite education and to grow and learn and develop. And that's what it's about. And I'm proud as heck of those former guys because I know they are of us.
Preston, if you have one last one, you can go.
Yeah, just real quick. Coach, you mentioned Blake Bales. What is his status? I know he was out for the Super Regional.
Yeah. I don't know yet. It's a continued monitoring process that we'll see. I have no idea. We're continuing to look at it. I'm hopeful that maybe he can help us out there, but I don't have any more information about it right now.